What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Heritage in Motion. Today is a pretty special episode, and we're going to be having our first guest. And it's somebody that I met not too long ago, but just through conversations and being in the industry, we've been able to talk and mesh well together. But um, but yeah, this is going to be our first guest. So obviously, Heritage in Motion, we're talking about, just raw day to day things that are going behind the scenes, things that keep us operational, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, all that good stuff. So without further ado, um, our guest, Edgar from Monster Roll Off Services. So introduce yourself, Ed.
Hey, what's up, Julian? Pretty pumped to be here, honestly. Talk about my journey. Yeah, we met not too long ago. Uh, it's cool because we've actually gotten along pretty well since then. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here and share some information that I've learned along the years. I've been doing this for quite a while now, actually. I've been driving since I was 18. And even before that, I was helping my parents out in the business. So, I mean, I got like 15 years working
15 years. Holy hell.
and
How old are you?
I'm 32.
32.
Yeah.
You got your CDL at 18?
At 18, fresh out of high school, yeah.
Okay, so then let's just jump right into it then. So, how did obviously you got started by your parents, but how did your parents get into this? Like what I mean, I'm sure you've talked to them. Like, how did they say we're gonna get into the roll-off industry?
Okay, great question actually, because well, the story of Monster Roll-Off Services, like you said, it starts with them. Um, they were immigrants from Mexico, and one of the jobs that my dad got here when he came over was actually working at a recycling center, a metal recycling center. There, he was a roll-off driver, and that's how he got familiar with roll-off trucks. And eventually, he transitioned to being the manager there. And he's always been very ambitious, so he even moved on where he was like, you know what, I want to start my own thing. Him and my uncle bought the roll off truck, and so then they went out looking for work. But yeah, that's how it started with him and my uncle buying a roll off truck, and him having some experience with that because of the
Recycling center. And then at some point the name changed, right? It used to be a different name.
yes.
So what made you choose? So what was that name?
Um. So to go back, him and my uncle got a truck, and it was a Cárdenas, because of course they go with their last name. So it was a Cárdenas Trucking, I believe. But then eventually they split up. They each went their own ways, and they went to Cárdenas Transportation. And then my uncle was a Cárdenas Transportation. But then we even have another uncle who started with us, and he also made his own truck that was Cárdenas something. And you can imagine there was a lot of confusion with the customers, with the when there's three different companies all there with our last.
Cadenas, yeah. Which kind of takes us a little bit off topic, but I made a video
Yeah.
and it was controversial, I guess, because
Some comments on there, I did.
it created a controversy because I talked about how, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what he just said.
Yeah.
You kind of get lost in translation when there's a bunch of people using that same last name. So,
Yeah.
and the way I saw it was, you might have, let's say, Cardenas drywall,
Yeah.
Cardenas landscaping, Cardenas concrete, Cardenas framing,
Yeah.
and you just don't know which one it is. So that was my point with that.
Yeah.
It was basically just more for like branding purposes. It keeps it clean. It you know who you're calling and not it doesn't get lost.
Yeah.
But so obviously you at some point you were going to take over and you decided to rebrand it.
My dad actually, because imagine, like I said, a lot of problems were coming. Not problems, but confusions between him and his cousins and brothers, because they all Cardenas. So their problems became his. On top of what you were saying, the Cardenas, like they look to him when problems come up. They were even other problems that weren't his were coming to him.
Yeah.
And so he was like, you know what, it's time for me to change the name, rebrand, doing something. He wanted something that popped in, something more American, obviously, because we're in America. It's I think you have to have something that you can brand, something that sticks out.
Well, I mean, we before I even knew you,
Hmm.
Jose knew of you just because he's like, "Do you know who this monster roll off is?" And it's funny because he's like, yeah, red dumpsters, black trucks, blue truck, and they have red dumpsters. And I was like, never even heard of them. So I actually found you on Instagram before I even met you, which was it was crazy because it was the same week that they told me about you, and I pulled you up, and I was like, honestly, never heard of them. I was like, where'd they come from?
And I barely started posting this year. I knew would time everywhere. I know.
And that's crazy. And then we go to a networking event,
Yeah,
and
I'm not Tony.
yeah, so Tony, I went just my friend Brandon Boyd, he did a lot of videos for us before, and he's big into AI and chat GPT. So I was like, you know what? I want to go see what he has to say. And I walked in, and right off the bat we started talking.
That's cool. I think Lois is weird. I was like nervous going into that event, like, oh, 'cause it was my first networking event. But honestly, it's done wonders for me. Even social media, like I said, I barely started posting this year and it's opened a lot more doors for me than I even anticipated.
And social media too, like you're doing a good job posting and being consistent and posting your day in the life. And that's like what people want to see. I like seeing it. And that it's more just raw, it's organic, it's super day to day, like this is what you're doing. Um, I mean, you're just showing everyone what yeah, it just floats you out there, makes you vulnerable, but at the same time, it's pretty entertaining just because it is what you're dealing with. I think my stuff's pretty boring just because I don't get to drive. I'll drive every now and then, but I might jump in the truck once a week. And it like today, like right before you got here, we got a call and they're like, "Hey, can you do an emergency dumpster? I need a 40 to Corona." I'm like, 40 to Corona, fry how could that out like it? That is yes, we can, but obviously, and then that's got to be you. So obviously, one of the guys is doing it, but he was already in Corona. But I was like, damn, that's just one of those things that I didn't want to do. And luckily, with the drivers kind of being spread out, like Friday, or we have a driver that's just simply going from Lake Elsinore, Wildemar, Corona, Norco, Eastville, Ontario, Rancho. So he's just
Red Ad Zone, yeah, the 15.
the whole day he's like spending on that area. So he's either dumping in Rialto or dumping in Corona, or the first one he might start here in Reno Valley. But basically,
That's his route.
his route on Fridays, and he kind of owns that. And then obviously all the other drivers are kind of spread out. But now it's just kind of going back to that networking event. That was one of my first networking events too.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was gonna. I knew one person, Brandon,
What?
Brandon Boyd. So shout out to Brandon.
Shout out Brandon. Honestly, that was a good talk on AI.
Yeah, and AI is very powerful.
Yeah, I've been using it a lot.
So yeah, and I see the pictures you're posting. So definitely, I was didn't know what to expect, but it was a good turnout. Obviously, that was that their first one, or
I don't know. I really don't know.
yeah, but I expect it to get bigger, just like everything else. There's a lot of
Yeah.
information, a lot of good speakers, um, and they have their own podcast too. So
Yeah.
I end up doing that one here
So I am tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Like I said.
back to back.
And just out of nowhere, what are the odds, right?
Well, I think the more you do, the better it is for your brand. And this is all new shit to me.
Yeah.
Like you're learning, trying to figure out lighting. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's too bright. We turn it down.
But the production quality is good on your stuff. Like I don't think that your stuff is boring, dude. I think you have great production quality, honestly. Yeah.
Thank you. We're trying to make sure that we have some relative content that can be useful for everyone. And um, yeah, shit. So that's the gist of basically that and how we're trying to get everything set up. We're learning though, but
Yeah, Sweet Studio.
so when you first got started, what was your first truck? Like, what did you start driving it? Matic? Was it a 10 speed?
No, it was a 10 speed. It was a Volvo. Oh man, I forgot what the exact model was, but it was a Volvo. It was but I graduated high school. Like I said, it probably took me like 3, 4 weeks to get my class A. But it was luckily my parents' business. So I just hopped in the truck and started working. My first job was there's a flashlight manufacturer called Maglite, and I don't know if they're still around, but
You're still around.
yeah, they're still You know,
Based out of Ontario.
there, yes, exactly. That's where the warehouse that I used to be my route. You know, they would produce aluminum flashlights until the shavings would fall off into a roll off container, and I would take that roll off container into the foundry, and that was one of my first routes. My first route, honestly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I bought a tremendous amount of mag lights just working in the government
Yeah,
sector. So
yeah.
then after that, I started buying stream lights. So, uh, but no, definitely a lot of mag lights were purchased. Yeah, I spent a lot of money.
Then look at us now. And I run off mag like
From the trash business,
that was the trash. Yeah,
glorified trash people, I guess you can.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
so obviously, you show your day to day, and you post those videos. Now, what basically what motivates you? What gets you up in the morning? How do you deal with highs and lows throughout the day? Talk to us about that because I mean, it's driving is
Yeah,
sometimes. So how do you deal with some?
man, I'm really glad you said that because, driving is brutal. And I feel like, driver health doesn't get talked about enough. It's stressful. Like, customers want the job done ASAP. Uh, you're sitting down, which isn't good for your posture or your back or your spine. You're alone in there a lot of times just with your own thoughts. So it can be a challenge to be a driver. Like, I feel like that needs to get talked about more. But luckily enough, I got a family. I got married. I got a wife. I got 3 daughters, and they're in my phone. They're in my trucks. Pictures of them. So that they keep me going. They motivate me. My parents' business, so I want to make my dad proud. That keeps me going. I'm I'm lucky to have a lot of things that motivate me and keep me persistent.
Is your dad still involved in the business?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, he is. I mean, he wants to, step away, so who knows like how that transition would be. But yeah, luckily we have him around the yard doing a lot of yard work. That's what he likes to do.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, you got a lot of people there, a lot of people that drive you, a lot of people that motivate you. So you definitely need that, especially in an industry like this, whether it's I mean, you can call it logistics, yeah, whatever you want to call it, but definitely you're on the road. You're obviously it's not over the road, but you're still there
Yeah.
with your thoughts
Yeah, all day. All day. So day.
and yeah, definitely. So obviously you got to try to
Find things to motivate you.
decompress, see what motivates you. I mean, do you have any people that motivate you or any people you look up to?
My biggest mentor is for sure my dad. For sure, my dad's my biggest mentor. Anytime I have any like questions or concerns or situations, he's always the first one I go to, and I'm very lucky to have him in my life.
And just being in the industry for so long,
Yeah, yeah,
he
a wealth of knowledge.
he knows a lot. Yeah, a lot of people. It's just you build connections,
Yeah,
and that's huge when you're trying to build and scale your business. So yeah, definitely. That's a good person to look up to.
yeah,
And I'm very talking. So we probably talked for like 30 minutes before we even got started with this podcast. But something that I was telling you about was um, just being new to the industry.
mm-hmm,
4 years in, and I jumping into roll off trucks pretty quickly.
yeah,
I had to learn a lot of crap on my own. There's between our team here, obviously we've probably struggled more than others that started off by working for another company.
mm-hmm,
It seems like though, from just talking to a lot of people, a lot of them have worked for other roll off companies or recycling centers,
yeah,
and then they kind of get the itch. Yeah, go their own way. But obviously, it allows you to build a solid foundation and allows you to know the ins and outs of the industry. So I think you're already a step ahead when it comes to that. So I'm glad you have your dad there.
yeah.
And then
Blessed on.
obviously, I'm glad to call you a friend just because I know you've shared a lot of valuable information, and it helps us out here. So thank you for that.
Dude, you're my friend for sure, dude. I was like so glad we met at that event.
It's been good, and I don't. I mean,
It's like we should have met sooner.
I know. Damn it, 4 years sooner.
So,
Now, I like reading books. I didn't like reading books when I was in school. I hated school really,
mhm.
but um, now that I'm kind of here and in this position with the business, I do have a business coach, and um, along with that, I read a lot of books. Do you read books? Do you have any that you would?
So like I said, it's
And the reason why I say that is because I know now you're going to these networking events and a
yeah.
lot about self development and yeah, building yourself so you can be a better version
Uh-huh.
for your business and your family and all that. So
Um as far as like actual physically reading a book, not as much anymore. But I do a lot of like podcasts or audiobooks.
okay,
You know, uh recently I listened to Beyond Entrepreneurship. I don't know if you heard that one. That was pretty good. Um, but yeah, as far as reading, no, I graduated college, and ever since then I was like, I'm done with books. You know, I don't want to read.
I mean, if I'm not physically reading them, audiobooks.
Audiobooks are me because you're in your truck, and so it's just so clutch to
I'm kind of weird with audiobooks.
Mhm.
I read them,
Mhm.
but um, I'm not the fastest reader. I can read okay, but it helps me out. Like if I'm listening to it on the audio version and I have the book in front of me,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dang, I never done.
it's like, but I mean, I still read them. So every day I come in, I have a little like digital timer thing and I set it for 15, 20 minutes and I'll come in and typically I'll go to the gym. And then once I come in here, before I even get to my emails, I set the little timer for 15, 20 minutes and I'll feel, yeah, I can read. And then sometime before I go home, I'll open up that book again. And a lot of these books have been kind of passed down from my business coach. And it's a lot about development, self development,
Yeah.
business, finances, things like that. So that's kind of what I've been into lately. Now, talking about the business, what services do you offer? Because I know you have a lot of equipment.
Oh man, that's honestly like the beauty of a roll-off truck. If you think about it, you can just attach so much different kinds of equipment to it. You can put a 10-yard low boy, which can do dirt jobs, concrete jobs, asphalt jobs. You could put a 20-30 yard, which is like popular with food waste. You could put like a 30-40 yard, which is popular with uh regular junk removal, construction waste. There's 40-yard containers, and you can put, paper, cardboard, and there's 50-yard containers, which are good for like light metal. You can have a compactor on there. Compactor is also popular with cardboard and plastics too. You can throw a flatbed on there, and a flatbed you can just do regular cargo, or you could even do a lot of metal recycling and use small little bins. And so there's just so many options. We do so much. It's hard to really
We kind of have, I mean, and it goes back to being in the business
for so long.
you
Yeah.
guys have so much equipment. Yeah, I mean, I know you're having to stack containers on top of one another, right?
Yeah, at that point. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, yards. Exactly.
So I know you guys have a pretty big forklift over there and you're able to stack.
Yeah, to stack them. Yeah.
But I know you guys have a lot of equipment now. Um, you have doubles trailers, you have that big forklift, you have roll off trucks,
Get steers.
skid steers. I mean, you kind of have a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it all goes hand in hand. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Obviously not at the scale that you're at, but we're obviously getting there little by little. But
It's crazy because you have 5 trucks.
you do have,
So you do have more trucks than us. Well, drivers at least too.
yeah. Well, what's your favorite truck? Like, what do you prefer to drive? Like that, your baby. If you can have any truck, what would you get?
Man, we've been through so many trucks throughout the years, man. Volvos, Kenworths, Peterbilt's, Freightliners. So it's hard. I've driven so many. I don't know how these new Peterbilts drive or Kenworths drive, but back in the days they used to be a little shaky. So I don't know how the one you got is, but the favorite one I have is the ones we got now, the Freightliner Cascadias,
Mm.
just because they don't they're not like a boat.
Yeah, they're not a boat.
Yeah.
Well, a Peterbilt, 2024.
Yeah.
It looks great,
Oh, it's so clean.
but the turning radius sucks.
Yeah.
And the amount of issues we've had with this one,
Yeah.
um, it makes me not want to buy another one. And the most reliable trucks that we've had have been our Freightliner Cascadias.
That's been my favorite one, honestly.
But obviously, when you talk to certain people, they're like, well, it has a 12,000 pound front axle
Yeah,
meant for it. No, you're right. It's not. It's a converted actor. But oh, you really need to go with a heavier duty frame. Well, it's like obviously yes, you can buy a dedicated truck for that. But I mean, I think for what most of
yeah. Well, we do. Yeah,
um
yeah,
the Freightliners, especially here for us, it's a lot of tight axis
yeah,
areas, and those things turn on a dime.
yeah. And it's way more affordable than a Peterbilt. You know.
Affordable parts are
Oh, so much more readily available too.
I call them like the Hondas.
That's what I fucking say.
Do you?
Shut the fuck up. Yeah,
They are like Hondas because
yeah.
I can find parts everywhere, pretty inexpensive, and they're just reliable.
Yeah, yeah.
The Detroit motors have been really good for us. Obviously, we had one motor that blew, but
That comes with the territory.
obviously nobody wants to drop 40 grand on a new motor and get it put in, but it is what it is, and that truck's running good.
That's crazy that you just said that. No, call them the Hondas. That's what I always say, man.
Yeah,
They're the Hondas of trucks.
and I mean, obviously, some people don't like Hondas, but
But I mean,
but they're reliable.
you know,
I mean, I really like the Freightliner M2s. I think they
yeah, trucks too. Those are good.
now for us,
Hmm.
have you done any modifications to the front? And we lift them up.
Extra leaf spring?
Yeah, and
You have to.
yeah. If not, you're ripping off that front.
Yeah, yeah. You have to get. You have to
I
get.
wish somebody would have told me that. Yeah, we ripped two front bumpers.
Yeah,
At the landfill, everyone we get tire grooves, and it kind of creates that little heat.
so it feels it's terrible on your trucks. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we don't want to go to. Obviously, we don't want to go to the landfills, but it is cheaper.
Oh, way more cheaper.
Transfer stations would be ideal, but
Way more expensive.
when you have a 10-ton load on there,
You're not taking that shit to the transfer station.
it has to go. And then for us, a lot of contractors, roofers, developers, those loads are anywhere from
They're heavy. Yeah, they're heavy.
without the landfill. Well, all the lighter stuff we don't mind taking.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's just the cost of doing business, but um, man, that's kind of where we're at. So, how many trucks do you have right now, or like how many doubles trailers, or what's your fleet look like?
Two doubles trailers. Let's see. Five trucks, all Cascadias. And my brother works with us. He has his own truck, but that's his own company. But we're pretty much the same thing. So six trucks, but we're probably gonna get rid of one of our trucks. Try to. It's a 2011 Cascadia, and we don't really use it. It's a backup to the backup. We're probably gonna try to sell that one.
I mean, it's always good to have backups.
Yeah, but just to put another one in.
Yeah. Well, at least you have the backup to the backup.
That's our dash.
Trying to get there.
Yeah.
We do think we need another truck, though.
It's yeah.
So throw a newer one into rotation, and an older one, pull it out, make
Exactly.
backups.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the move.
I'll end up picking their brain about all that later.
Yeah, sure.
Now, what do you project? You just started doing social media. End up adding his social media stuff right around here somewhere. You guys can follow him, but he's doing a lot of good stuff. Um, what are like your short or long term goals? If you can kind of divide it between short and long term, what are you focusing on right now to kind of elevate your business to that next level?
Man, so short-term goals for sure. Get that old truck out, get a new truck in. Hopefully, by the end of this year, before that tax season hits. Also, our marketing's got to improve. Like I said, hopped on social media this year on Instagram. I'm like, man, look at all these companies like just crushing us on marketing. We got to improve on that. So hopefully, that's a short-term goal to keep improving the marketing. Uh, long term, we're facing some challenges. If I look at my business, the drivers are getting a little older. Franchises are hitting us hard, and so those are some challenges that if I look at my goals, I got to acknowledge. Those are some challenges I got to face.
Now, do you by any chance see the last video we posted?
Yeah,
Talking about franchise.
yeah.
Okay. Um, we're going through it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like we know everyone on a first name basis,
Yeah.
not because we want to, but just because that it's the nature of the business. No, there's a demand there.
Yep.
We're fooling it. We're just dealing with
Yeah.
the repercussion of it. So,
And it's like super un-American that they do that, that they put like these franchises on the city that restrict the free market. I mean, it's one of the most un-American things I've seen, but
I mean, other states, I've talked to a lot of people in different states. So there's definitely different things that other states do. And I think we'll talk about that at a later time because it goes into a whole nother, yeah, it's a whole other thing. But yeah, definitely they're hitting us hard. And which brings up a valid point. Like you have red dumpsters, you have some black dumpsters.
they're two-tone, red and
Okay.
sides and black in the front. Yeah.
So something that we talked about was the reason why we just kind of keep them a neutral.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're dropping her on the street, that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Shit would. Yeah. Yeah.
So have you thought about that? Is that something you've thought about or like
Um,
possible change in the future? Just keep running until
luckily, I want to say 80% of our business is recycling. You kind of get what I'm saying? So like it's
listen.
paper recycling, cardboard recycling, metal recycling. So I think we've blended in a little bit. They don't necessarily see us and think trash every time. I think that it's because it's not, most of the time it's recycling. And so,
And they see your dumpsters because they're inspecting the recyclers. Yeah, see your dumpsters.
and they see material that's paper, cardboard, plastic, metal. They're like, okay, you know,
Eh,
yeah. So it does stick out like a sore thumb, but luckily, most of the material that we have in there is material that we take to recycling centers.
And that's the whole thing when it comes down to all this. These inspectors or city folks, they're like, if you're selling it, it's okay. You're paying, it's not. I'm like, well, I get a penny for it. That means I sold it.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that doesn't. I'm like, sure does.
So she just,
I was like, it counts. I've gone to bat at that. And
yeah,
obviously they get all bent out of shape. But
yeah,
now, if you can do one thing different from when you started taking over, what would you do?
man. Another good question, my dude. Another good question. Huh. I'm a very passionate person. And sometimes that didn't always go in my favor, because negative situations pop up all the time. And I used to be very like emotional and reactionary, and it would just make the situation worse. Versus I think that I've grown up a lot and that I've tried to just observe the situation,
Yeah.
observe, 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 and wait for the perfect time to react. Most of the time, you don't even got to react. The situation will just play itself out. So, I think that younger me was for sure more ready to react to any negative situation versus now I'm I'm willing to just observe and then wait for the right moment. And most of the times, like I said, it doesn't even come up. People just want to say their piece and then we're good.
So talking about being very not emotional, but just passionate. I just bought this book on Amazon, and I found it just kind of going through books, but I just bought it. It just got delivered on the 11th. It says how to work with complicated people, and it says nearly anyone. But uh, I it was just one of those books that popped up. It had a pretty nice cover, so I was like, I'll just buy it. I'll read it. Um, but definitely, it talks about. I read like the first 4 pages, just like right when I got it from Amazon. But it just simply talks about how to deal with difficult people, and we all react differently. But I think like in our position now as like owners, our team can react differently, but we can't. We have to take a different approach, and that's kind of what this book's about. Like just doing things differently and saying things differently, or just maybe saying the same thing but wording it differently. It makes me people's minds feel like you're on their side. So that's one of the books that I just bought, and hopefully I can read it here in the next couple weeks. But um, definitely, well, being passionate is good. Now you've taken over. You're now on social media. You're doing everything how you think it needs to run. what have been your biggest wins? Let's talk about this year. Your biggest wins or biggest losses for this year?
This year, dang, that's a great question. Um, dang, man. I think that one of the biggest losses, well, you could tell the economy is slow right now, and so that impacted all of us. You know, but on the bright side of that, it gave me more time to start doing the marketing, start doing the social media, which has been my biggest win. Doing jumping on social media, marketing more, networking more. It's opened up, like I said, different people that like I met you, I met Tony, I met other people just through it,
Yeah.
and so it's I think that's been my biggest win. That which came from the biggest loss that
Yeah.
we were super slow in the beginning of the year, but because of that, it like, okay, it gave me time to do some other things, and these other things have led me to things I didn't even know existed before. Like, look at I'm here now.
Yeah, no. And I mean, just whenever we've had like an influx of work or we can give you a call, not just you, but you and Moses have helped us out.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah. And obviously, I didn't know you at first. So I called the Moses. I was like, Moses, do you know this guy from Monster? And he's like, yeah, that's my boy. I said, all right, cool. And so I was like, all right, that means I can work with him. And it goes back to another video that I've made. Um, this industry is so cutthroat. Finding good people to work with that aren't going to be trying to undercut you,
Yeah,
hard.
that's crazy.
That is so hard. And that's why, like, the relationships that I have, I'm all about it. Like, I
Yeah,
gotta foster that and, be good, be a good human. And I'm all about being there for when, like, you need us. You've been there for when we need you. And we truly appreciate that.
yeah, it's crazy that you say that, that like people do that nowadays because, I come from a whole different era of business, where it was all like referrals, word of mouth, handshake. And if you did grimy shit, no one was gonna work with you, you know? And so as I don't know, I come from an era where your reputation really matters. So that's why, I always try to, be a good person and help people out and, not do it knowing any way I wouldn't want to be done.
Well, then it's like your dad too. Like, he's been around for so long, and that's just how it's been.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And now there's so many of us, and I would say, like, I'm one of the new guys, and all of us have kind of ruined it for all the OGs, like your family. But definitely some of us take it the wrong or go about it the wrong way, whether it's stealing clients, stealing bins, and so forth. I mean, there's so much of that crap that uh, we just don't work with anyone like that. So obviously, just working with valuable people like yourself definitely helps. Now, um, kind of winding down on this podcast, um, if there's people out there that want to jump into not necessarily the roll offs, but just the dumpster space, whether it's dump trailers, the little cougar trailers, maxi trailers, whatever, or even roll offs, what would you say to those folks, or what advice would you give?
Like I just mentioned, I come from a different era of business. And I think that you sort of have to bring some of that back. Your work ethic matters, the impression you leave on people matters. To this day, we're still getting referrals from things my dad did 5, 10, 15 years ago, so it's because of his name and his work ethic and how he treated people. So, yes, you got to be on social media. Yes, you got to be on marketing, but don't forget it's a business at the end of the day. You got to work hard. You got to treat people right, and you got to be find ways to solve people's problems while also doing good business.
Yeah.
It'll pay dividends in the future.
No, I kind of nailed it right there. Just be a good human.
Yeah,
Don't take advantage of people. Be fair, be consistent, and build those relationships. Because in your case, and we've only done it for 4 years, but some of our clients from the very beginning are still
you see it.
obviously. So we're seeing it. we're reaping that benefit, but it's we've been consistent and fair. We are not trying to price gouge, but you just want to offer a really valuable service, timely service, and that's what you guys do. Obviously, with you wouldn't be in business for this long if you didn't do it.
Yeah, ain't that
So,
true?
now where can people find you? Like, what socials do you have, or phone numbers, or
Right now, Instagram, Monster Roll Off Services. Look us up. Our website, www.mrolloffservices.com. You can reach us there. Find me there.
oh, that's kind of the gist of this whole podcast. Obviously, we want to bring people like yourself in a service based industry that are definitely making an impact in our local community. And I think you're one of those people doing that. And it doesn't have to be roll offs, it can be any type of service based industry, but we definitely like what you're doing, how you as a person, and I'm glad that we're able to have conversations like this, not just on the podcast, but in general. Yeah. And if you guys like content like this, let us know what you want to see. Send a message, send a DM, let us know, and then we can make it for you guys. But other than that, I truly appreciate you guys watching this Heritage in Motion. What is it, episode 4? Something like that, episode 4. We're trying to do at least one a week. It is timely, so obviously we have other things going on, so we're definitely trying to stick to that one a week. And yeah, let us know what you guys are thinking.
Pumped to be your first guest.
Yeah, you're the number one.
Follow Heritage on Instagram. Subscribe to his channel on YouTube. What are you doing?
Let us know. Let us know. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and on to the next one.
Yes, sir.